to Fashion Reverie Talks. I'm Tijana Ibrahimovic.
And I'm Kristopher Fraser, filling in for Miss Cicily Daniels.
Fashion Reverie takes you from the front lines of fashion to the front row.
All of Fashion Reverie Talk segments are based on published content found on fashionreverie.com.
So remember, if you want more information on the segments, go to fashionreverie.com. And if you like this episode, don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button of this episode on YouTube.
In this episode, we are happy to have emerging streetwear designer Joe Millman of Chamberlin and fashionreverie.com associate editor Sydney Yeager to chat about 2025 ladies' fragrances. Let's start with fashion news. And remember, all of our news segments are based on the fashion news alerts found on fashionreverie.com.
So, fashion news. Balmain has a new creative director, and after Olivier left, this post has been quickly filled. So, Antonin Tron has been appointed the new creative director of Balmain, and he comes to this position after having founded Outline, with which he won first collection prize in 2018, and he has been pretty well recognized. So he attended the Royal Academy of Fine Arts, and he began his career designing menswear at Louis Vuitton, and before moving on to Givenchy and Balenciaga. So quite a good resume. And he shared that he's deeply honored to join Balmain and grateful to Mr. Rashid and Matteo for entrusting him with this extraordinary maison. So we will see what he brings to this iconic brand and what his new approach to design will be. I think everyone is excited to see his first collection in March next year for the fall of 2026. So I think a lot of us have been used to Olivier's style. So let's see what Antonin brings as a change.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see how this is going to look, Tijana, because Olivier Rousteing was Balmain. He brought the brand so much into this century.
True. But I think it was more that he wanted to do something else. So
let's... been there 15 years, but honey, let's see who's even shopping, because by the looks of it, guys, if you were hoping for great Black Friday deals, also in our fashion news alerts, don't get your hopes up. Brands are cutting back on their Black Friday discounts due to Donald Trump's tariffs, because they're already losing money from the increase in tariff costs. So they don't think having steep discounts this season is going to make a lot of sense. So if you're hoping for any of those big 70% off sales, think again, because sorry. Thanks, Donald.
Well, maybe we'll save some money without shopping for Black Friday. But speaking of our last segment of the news, Skechers has hired Sofia Vergara as a new brand ambassador for the brand. And she's the first Colombian artist to be a brand ambassador for the footwear brand. And she shared that she doesn't do anything she doesn't believe in, and she really believes in Skechers. She's been wearing Skechers for about a year now, and she loves it. I have to say, my mom loves Skechers. She wears them a lot. So
I think my mother wears Skechers too.
I mean, I guess there is something about the brand that, makes it comfortable. I might have to just listen to our mothers and Sofia and try Skechers out. So
I love Sofia Vergara. She always looks great. So there's a good person to take some fashion tips from.
I agree. So she will be a front of their global campaign. She will be featured as the brand's new ambassador for the hands-free slip-ins and glide step silhouettes. something we can shop for on Black Friday, perhaps.
Hopefully there's more than a 10 or 15% discount.
Well, that would be it for our fashion news alert. We have another special guest at Fashion Reverie Talks. Today, we will be speaking to Joe Millman of Chamberlin. And welcome, Joe, our very young, talented designer taking over New York by storm.
How's it going? Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure to talk to you about your fashion journey. So tell me a little bit about your brand and how did you start it?
Yeah, so I started my brand back when I was a sophomore in college. It was actually during COVID, like during 2020. I actually started January of 2021. And yeah, the way I got into fashion, honestly, was my mom was a fashion designer back in like the 80s and 90s. So I always
family.
Yeah. I grew up always, interested in choosing my outfits for school and things of that nature. But then I think what really changed like my taste and really affected how I design for the brand is I grew up always coming to New York City to visit my cousin and my family. And I grew up with a love for like New York, Brooklyn streetwear, but then also going to a prep high school, like a very preppy high school with a dress code. So I had to balance like the two, having to be in a dress code, but dressing in a streetwear way. And I realized when I started designing for my brand that I subconsciously was designing within the dress code, even though when I was in high school, like I hated, having to wear button downs and khakis and stuff like that. But yeah. So.
Tell me, this uniform, was it sweaters? Because you're known for your sweaters.
Yeah, so it's actually funny. Before I started the brand, I never had worn a sweater or a cardigan in my life. Maybe when I was a baby, but I don't remember. I did my first sample of a cardigan. And yeah, I loved it. People loved it. And we kind of kept building from there. And now I definitely have a passion for sweaters because, one, we live in New York where it's chilly half the time. And you get to really do a lot with the designs that you can't do with cut and sew stuff. So
who would you say your customer is, or who are you sort of designing for?
Yeah, it's funny. Actually, I'm lucky where my brand, I definitely almost look into myself and into what I would want in my closet and then design from there. I try not to focus too much on like what does my customer want. But definitely overall, like I like people who are active, like, they're going to like doing social things, hanging out with friends. And recently I've actually been running into a lot of like customers and people who know the brand, like when I'm out. When I'm going out hanging out with friends, people are like, "Oh, like, are you Joe from Chamberlin?" Or like they're like wearing the products, which is really a really like humbling experience when that happens. So yeah.
I had a pleasure of sitting next to you during New York Fashion Week. Do you usually get inspired by watching other trends or just simply by walking the streets of New York?
That's a great question. I think with everything, you kind of pick up everything that's going on around you and you kind of create your own version of that. So definitely, seeing what's going on and then seeing like what I like or don't like and then kind of creating my own. But definitely recently I've been getting a lot more into like 70s and 80s fashion. It was definitely, very cool with like the fits, they had everything fitted like cropped and boxy and just a cool vibe. Like I'm shooting all my campaigns now on a camera from the 1970s. to try to, continue that vibe. So yeah.
Nice. So you opened your namesake store recently. Congratulations. Um, tell me, where is it? Tell me about the store concept.
Yeah, so the store, it's not a standalone store. I have a permanent location in the Chelsea Market Artisan Fleas, which is really exciting. So it's at 88 10th Ave. And the concept that I went for, so basically I'm in a marketplace. I have like a double wide booth, so I try to make it my own. And basically the concept was an Ivy League like dorm room, right? Of like the coolest kid on campus from like the 80s. So like we have
Wow.
we have I went on Facebook Marketplace. I got a bunch of furniture from like the 1800s. So there's a lot of really ornate wood pieces in there. But then we have, a radio from like the 70s and a vintage TV that'll play our logo, animation of our logo. So try to make it, I put down like a fake parquet floor, like wood floor and stuff. So I try to make it a vibe within like a boutique style within the marketplace. So
Wow, that's such an experience. I love it that you sort of you're walking into an 1800s living room.
yeah, it's cool. And I'm using that as the jump off point to get my namesake store and like to open up my flagship location. Hopefully like, in Nolita or something like that is the goal. But this is definitely, I've been working for this since like my sophomore year of college. So having a permanent location where I can keep all my inventory is awesome. But now, I'm already looking ahead to trying to open, a store hopefully by next year.
So that's sort of your next goal, to open a permanent store. And are you going to have any other campaigns, shows we can go to?
Yeah. So definitely with the store opening is definitely my next major goal. But also it's more than just having a store. I know like it's very cliche and every brand says like, oh, I want to build a community. But I feel like actually having a brick and mortar store, you can really build a community of like, people that they have a space to come and hang out. I had a friends and family event the other day, and there's people, repeating customers that now are definitely like acquaintances and some I would actually consider friends. We come, catch up, hang out. So yeah, that's definitely the next goal is like solidifying that community and continuing to grow like the small base that we have. But
And
yeah.
any specials for the holidays?
Yeah, so I'm really excited. We have denim coming. So, we usually do sweaters. We have, we're having a big restock in all sweaters that are sold out, new colorways, some new designs. But then the thing I'm really excited about, and I've been working on for a very long time, is the actual, like we have jeans for men's and we have our first like specific women's jeans as well. So I've never done like, our brand is unisex. Half of our customers are women, but now we finally have our first like women specific piece, which I'm excited about.
Amazing. Congratulations on all your success. And thank you for stopping by Fashion Reverie Talks.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Okay, so you all know among the pillars of my life are you need to shower every day and you should always spray your fragrance on. Today I'm joined by Fashion Reverie Associate Editor Sydney Yeager to discuss some ladies' fragrances for fall 2025. Hi, Sydney.
Hi, Chris. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, honey. How are you? So,
I'm good.
so let's talk about your fragrance article. Can you start by telling me about Coupe Eau de Parfum? It's a fragrance that will take us from fall into winter. A nice
Yes.
transition fragrance.
Yes, as you mentioned, this is the perfect transitional fragrance. You're going to get a hint of fall with a few notes of fern, vanilla, and musk in it. But if you're not ready to let go of summer quite yet, you're also going to notice a few more summery notes such as coconut, oak moss, and amber in the perfume.
I think summer's a little overrated, and we were just conditioned to like it as children because we had school off. But, I love winter because of fireplaces. And one of your fragrances that you mentioned in your article was Maison Margiela's By the Fireplace. Can you tell us about that one?
Yes, this is arguably the quintessential fall fragrance. It wraps you up in a scent of crackling logs and sweet indulgence. As I mentioned in our perfume roundup on Fashion Reverie, it's very much reminiscent of sitting by a fireside, hence the name. And you kind of have like that hint of a cinnamon roll in your hand. You're going to get notes of chestnut, vanilla, clove oil, and it's all combined to create this very warm, sweet, smoky fragrance that's just going to linger throughout the day.
I love a good woodsy scent.
I know.
So one of the most interesting fragrances in your roundup for me that you included was the Seven Virtues Buttercream Hazelnut. Can you describe this fragrance to us? Because it sounds like something I'd order at the cake shop.
No, it really does feel like something you would order at a bakery, and it's not an everyday perfume. It's something more for special occasions. If you want to smell very sweet, it definitely feels almost good enough to eat. I would note that it is a hypoallergenic fragrance. It's long wearing and it's layerable, so I would recommend layering it with other things. But this scent is super fun. It's lightweight, it's sweet. It's going to feature notes of buttercream icing, maple caramel, and tonka bean. So if you mix that in with something that's a little bit more gourmand or spicy, you're going to get just a lovely scent throughout the day.
Yeah, that really sounds like like cake baking instructions, but I love it. All right, Sydney. Well, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
And spray your fragrances on, guys.
Well, viewers, that's it for this episode of the season of Fashion Reverie Talks.
We would like to thank streetwear designer Joe Chamberlain and FashionReverie.com associate editor Sydney Yeager for joining us on this episode of Fashion Reverie Talks.
For information on these and other stories, go to fashionreverie.com and don't forget to hit the like button.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Oh, I missed the
Okay,
part.
you guys, we need to do that again. Kristopher, it's Joe. It's probably a mistake in the script. It's Joe Millman of Chamberlain.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so let's do that again. Joe Millman of Chamberlain. Okay.
Take two.
Okay.
Okay.
Tony, you can
I
do the
also
count.
didn't see the bottom. I also didn't see the bottom page, so I'll close it out properly.
Yeah, I'll try to just get that for you, Tijana, so we could close. But since we got to do this over, you got it.
Okay, you tell me when you're ready. 4, 3, 2.
Well, viewers, that's it for this episode of the season of Fashion Reverie Talks.
We would like to thank streetwear designer Joe Millman of Chamberlain and FashionReverie.com associate editor Sydney Yeager for appearing on this episode of Fashion Reverie Talks.
For information on these and other stories, go to fashionreverie.com. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.